Well, I'm really honored to be here. Sheldon, Helena, and Olivia had to drag me here, not because I didn't want to be here, because everything is so busy and everything's going on, but I felt their hearts so deeply. And when I really took it into my own meditation, I realized, okay, it's time. The HeartMath's mission and the vision was to create a user-friendly, simple system that a taxi cab driver, a person of any belief system, any walk of life, any religion or non-religion, a neutral system that was simple, of tools that would help people activate the power and intelligence of the heart, and that it had to be based on some science. So I'm going to share with you not the whole story, we don't have time, it's unfoldment, but some of the fruits of our efforts, because about 30 of us came together, sold our businesses, from psychologists to engineers to psychiatrists to just auto mechanics and ordinary people came together, formed a scientific advisory board, so we got to figure out this problem of the heart. What does it mean to listen to the heart, to follow the heart, to go deep into your heart, to find the answer? What do these metaphors of the heart really mean, and do they have some type of scientific basis? Is there a connection that we can find between the heart chakra and the physical heart that can be useful to the unfoldment of human consciousness, that can reach the person in the street? So that's the background of what I'm going to share with you. A little bit of it. I'll unfold more as we go. So you've all heard what's on this slide. Everyone's talking about it. I mean, it was predicted. There's so many cultures, religions, nationalities. Everyone's talking about it, but we can feel it. Something is in the air. And I think the fact that people all over the planet are feeling that something's different. There's a spiritual stir. And a lot are being called to connect with their heart, whether it's through extreme stress and pain, because that's where people go when there's nowhere else to go. They go to their heart. They deep inside try to get some intuitive connection and answer. Or whether they're tapping into the frequencies coming into the planet. But millions of people are waking up, and a lot are feeling something's going on, but I don't know what. And so there's a tremendous fear while there's tremendous hope. And so in talking about the intelligence of the heart, I'm not only talking about the intelligence in the brain, I'm actually talking about a new, old intelligence. And now there's scientific validation for it. This quote, when Steve Jobs passed away, I was just astonished, because he was a manic depressive. He had all sorts of problems, but he had this one creative, incredibly brilliant, innovative frequency that he always followed. And he said that it was following his heart. And he encouraged people, if you read this quote, it was in a speech to Stanford graduates. We said, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. So creating a heart-based world, and part of the mission of HeartMath. It's part of the vision and part of the mission. And to do that, though, it can sound so sweet and churchy. And part of our goal, and one reason it's called HeartMath, is to give some science and some baseline to heart. Otherwise, it sounds airy-fairy, poetic, metaphoric, and it's not anchored. So a heart-based world is a world that we all envision, that we like, where people know and feel they're connected as one. And where are we connected? Where we feel the connection, it truly is in the heart. And the soul, the spirit, the main trunk line for connection in the human system is the heart chakra and the physical heart. We don't say, I love you with all my brain. We say, I love you with all my heart. And not take away from the brain, but you'll see by the research how the brain is truly illumined by the heart. We grow and we evolve and we unfold spiritually as we open the heart. And as the heart, which you'll see is like a radio receiver and transmitter, signals and activates the higher centers of the brain, and the chakras and the pineal gland and the heart chakra, they all fire together. So our research here on the heart's communication started with looking at the physical heart. We said, okay, got together we had all sorts of brain researchers on our initial advisory board, as well as heart researchers. And we found out that the heart actually sends more information upstairs through the afferent nerves to the brain, telling the brain how the body feels and telling the brain what to do, than the other way around. And that was astonishing because most people don't know that. We're taught the brain controls the heart. But inside the heart, and this is a new field called neurocardiology that's not part of our creative breakthroughs, but this was Dr. Drew Armour, who was on our advisory board, discovered the intrinsic nervous system of the heart. The heart has its own little heart brain that is independent from the brain up here, that can sense, feel, learn, and remember, and it processes how the body feels and sends that information upstairs so the brain can compare it with what's familiar and make choices based upon that. So this heart is truly intelligent, even on a physical sense. And the heart's actually communicating with the brain 4 different ways. One is what I just talked about, through the nervous system, the heart brain. 2 is biophysical, which is the pulse wave. Every time your heart beats, it's sending pulse waves throughout the body, your blood pressure. But there's information that is going on those pulse waves. That's part of the intelligence of how it's imprinting, and every cell of the body receives the heartbeat. Biochemical communication. It wasn't until the mid-1990s, HeartMath Institute had already been going a number of years. I was at a conference in Montreux presenting the research I'm about to present to you in a few minutes at the American Institute of Stress Congress. And there was a gentleman there who told me, he was presenting other research, that a group in Canada had just discovered that the heart is a hormonal gland, and that there's as much oxytocin produced by the heart as there is by the brain. Oxytocin is the love hormone, or the bonding hormone. It also produces serotonin and other hormones. And those hormones have receptors all over the body. So we're just beginning, I mean, this is very recent to understand that this heart is much more than a physical pump. So this is the research that we discovered. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of background because I know we don't have a lot of time. But we looked everywhere to see where we might find emotions and how they connected with the physical heart, like heartache, heartbreak, heartful, love, compassion, care, appreciation. And we looked at first the brain and to see if there was a connection there. And then we looked at skin response and all sorts of biofeedback. And Doc Childrey, who never graduated from high school, by the way, comes in the lab one day and he says, "Look at the spaces between the heartbeat." We went, "The what?" And lo and behold, there is something called heart rate variability that measures the beat-to-beat intervals of heart rate. And when you take that heart rate variability and you do some mathematics to it, you see the pattern. And what revealed itself in this research was that what you're seeing right here, that stressful feelings, and that could be impatience, anger, frustration, depression, irritation, anything that we call a negative feeling creates stress feedback in our system. It doesn't feel good. That actually inhibits brain function. It creates an incoherent or a jagged heart rhythm pattern. Appreciation, genuinely felt, gratitude, compassion, love, care, what you were talking about, Helena, creates this gorgeous, harmonious, ordered sine wave, which is a coherent waveform. And that was published in the American Journal of Cardiology. It's the first time ever a critical link between emotions and the physical heart had been peer-reviewed and discovered. So from there, we looked at how the heart was affecting the brain, and we did continual research. And what was very interesting is that we found, this pathway of the heart sending the signals to the brain, telling the brain how the body feels. Does it feel incoherent, stressed, frustrated, irritated, or does it feel harmonious, coherent, appreciative, kind, compassionate? The pathway is right up through the medulla to the amygdala, which stores emotional memory and hijacks a lot of our goodwill intentions to do things and react in ways we prefer not when we think about it. And it also communicates right to the thalamus, which synchronizes cortical function. And when this coherent waveform signal goes all the way up, it activates the frontal lobes of the brain and opens up our more intuitive sense, our mental clarity. So love really does enhance brain function and clarity and intuition and more than that. And stress creates cortical inhibition because you're going to go into fight, flight, survival response. It shuts it down. So it gets really simple then, and Doc and the team at HeartMath developed a whole system of simple tools for people to use to shift from incoherence to coherence as quickly as we could figure out how to help people shift. So we teach this science now in business, in the military, in schools. We've been in the trenches, and our whole goal was to take this to the street, bring sky to street is the way we call it. And coherence itself, which is a cold kind of fifth-ray word, really, but it's exactly what's going on, because there's coherence at the quantum level to the macro level to the heart level, which is where it modulates in us. It really is an optimal state in which heart, mind, and emotions are operating in sync and balanced. And physiologically, the immune, hormonal, and nervous systems function in a state of energetic coordination. I'm reading that because it's really important. We have to get our inner chakras, our inner systems in sync to access some of these new frequencies coming into the planet now in the planetary shift. That's why so many people are getting the intuitive signal to act more from the heart, to open the heart more, to be more compassionate and loving. It's our nature, but it's also where the human body comes into its harmony and where the human potential unfolds into the true oneness that we are. This is the physiological empowerment that we can learn to access. And then our bodies, our physical third-dimensional body is working for us. It transforms and allows spirit to come in and for us to transform into spirit quicker. That's really been part of the mission of HeartMath, to really unfold that. We didn't know that. We were learning as we went along. But when we look at it, now we see how the heart affects the energetic fields around us. And I'll be talking more about how that affects the planet tomorrow in the morning talk then. But we finally saw how emotions actually produce different information patterns in the heart's electromagnetic field, which is always being radiated with each heartbeat. Our heart's putting out 2.5 watts of power. It's the strongest magnetic generator or electrical generator in the body, much stronger than the brain. Brain's what it is. I'm not underplaying the brain. But the brain can mine potential because so much more. Higher mind is not activated without higher heart. It's math. It's heart math. So appreciation, you can even see here this coherent harmonic. That's radiated like a radio wave from the heart when we're feeling love, care, appreciation, kindness. And that's why those feelings feel so good when you walk into a room and you feel someone emanating that, right from their heart, soul. And frustration, anger, all the stressful feelings are not bad. We get beyond from the fifth dimensional look. It's not about good or bad. It's what's efficient and non-efficient, what's effective and non-effective. It's not effective for us to be hanging in those states very long. We're all going to experience them because we're living here on a third-dimensional planet. But we can learn to shift out quicker, and so they're not draining us and inhibiting our relationships and our progress. But the frustration waves go out, the stress waves go out, and we have a whole global stress epidemic now because the media is broadcasting continuous stress frequencies throughout the planet. And as you'll see when I talk tomorrow about the Global Coherence Initiative, how that's perturbating the fields, the ionosphere, and involved in some of the climate change problems we have and other things. So our heart radiates this electromagnetic field where we energetically are affecting each other's moods, attitudes, and feelings. It comes down to, though, our sense of personal responsibility. Either we're out of sync or we're in sync. This is how we teach kids. You know, we teach this in over 1,000 schools because improving academic performance, reducing test anxiety, improving test scores. So again, our goal right from the start was, how do we language this for the different conduits of society? How do we empower the heart of business, power the heart of healthcare? How do we develop heart smarts in education? And so we spent a lot of years just testing and pre and posts and doing that and publishing, because that's been our mission, our joy. and working on ourselves at the same time. So there's a simple technique. It's the most simple we could find, and we like to say simplicity is crunched complexity, right? So if you take all this research and you crunch it down, here's a simple technique. We're going to practice together. And it's something you've all done before. But this puts it into, you know what is happening as you do this. And the step one is heart focus. To get into that heart coherence zone, that state, the very first step is to shift your attention and energy out of your head or your mind or your thinking or your emotions into the center of your heart. And you keep bringing it down when the thoughts want to go boop, back up like Jack in the Box or somewhere else. You just keep bringing it into the heart. Step two, keeping your heart focus, add heart focus breathing. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart area. Of course, you can do this right in the middle of stress, which is the idea. But we're going to practice it now when we're not stressed. Take casual, slow, deep breaths. Inhale for about 5 seconds. Exhale for about 5 seconds. Just through the area of the heart. Heart focused breathing. And the third step is heart feeling. You're still centered in that heart. You still have your mind in the heart. You're still focused there. You're still breathing through there, slowly and rhythmically. But now you add a genuine feeling of gratitude or appreciation. Recall a time when you felt good inside. In other words, you generate an active, positive emotion. And appreciation or gratitude is usually the easiest one for the masses of people to shift to. But you could shift to love, care, compassion, whatever is easy. Because it doesn't matter. It all activates that heart coherence, and then the body starts to communicate it to the brain. So heart focus breathing, heart feeling. That's the simplest technique of about 20 different HeartMath techniques that have been developed from this research. And we also developed this technology called the M-Wave Personal Stress Reliever, the M-Wave Desktop. How many of you heard of the M-Wave? Quite a few of you. Cool. So what we wanted to do, we were doing these training programs like in Motorola and these businesses to help with productivity and performance by teaching people how to get heart coherent and helping them with some simple tools like the freeze frame technique and other techniques. And we would haul this big lab equipment. And when we haul the lab equipment, we'd have demos of what it looked like. Because when you feel it and see it, like Sheldon was saying, you actually see in real time, it's quite phenomenal. And people then know we're not just imagining or visioning. It's real. So the M-Wave is designed to do that, and we look at it as kind of like a Trojan horse. See, what you're seeing now is a pulse wave. I'm not actually hooked up. I did this right before coming here when I was testing it. But it's easier than trying to... And I hook myself up to this, and you can see I wasn't feeling totally stressful or anything like that, but you can see the first things I was kind of in my mind, just figuring things out. Then I did that quick coherence technique. You clip this on your earlobe, and ladies, you have to take your earrings off. And then you do just what we did. You focus in the heart, you pretend the breath's going in and out of the heart, and you activate love or care, appreciation. But you have to really do it, not be half doing it. That's what's cool about this. It won't lie. And a lot of times, for a lot of us in meditation, me too, with the changing energies, one day you're in one mood, one day you're in another, it's harder to focus some days. It really helps you get right there. And there's 4 challenge levels. And I use this every day to start my meditations, because it takes me right into that coherence, and then I start my meditation from there. And I just invite all of you who are serious meditators to try that, think about it, because whether it's ours or some other heart rhythm coherence, feedback, it's really powerful. And we, again, created it not to compete with any system. Whatever affirmations, intentions, meditations, prayers, whatever people do, we're just saying, Here's the physiology. Here's the research. Get in coherence first and really get there instead of thinking you're there, because a lot of times when we've had people hooked up and they're just putting out love, or they're feeling good, they're feeling compassion, but they're not really anchored in it. And that's what counts. All heart is good. All heart is every little bit this planet and we all need. But boy, can we accelerate our service and our facilitation to our own spirits and souls and to others by really harnessing the physiology, the third dimension, with it. So that's why we call this the Trojan horse. You know, you can see I was green, I was in high coherence 95% of the time. That blue triangle is the zone. After 2 minutes of sustaining it, you enter in what athletes call the first level zone. And there's a lot more. There's games that run on this. But again, the Trojan horse is that what we're finding over and over, I don't care what people come to use the HeartMath tools for, the research for, the M-Wave for, this was our desire, this was our mission, this was our care, is that they now are connected more to themselves. They now have HeartMath inside themselves. It doesn't belong to us. And Doc stays in the background. He doesn't want to be a public figure. Because it's all about each of us activating the power and intelligence of our own hearts. So we did another research study that was pretty profound with the Institute of Noetic Sciences. You know, Dean Radin there had done one already looking at whether precognitive stuff. And we wanted to see what was happening in the heart, so we joined forces. And what was really, really interesting is that there was a computer, and we hooked brain electrodes, heart rhythms, everything, total, every kind of biofeedback to a bunch of subjects. And the computer randomly would choose pictures, real gory ones, or real sweet ones, bunny rabbits and flowers, or snakes and venom, and gory car crashes, and you never knew which one you were going to get. So we wanted to see what the response was physiologically to the picture. And what we found was that before the computer even selected randomly whether it was going to be a gory picture or a beautiful picture, the heart knew. The heart responded before the computer selected. Then the brain responded a few seconds after the heart. This was serious. This was published in 2 different editions of the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. You really pause. It gives me shivers thinking about that, because that's hard science saying the heart is a receiving station. It's receiving intuitive, non-local information from the quantum field, from another dimension. And it's transmitting it to the brain, which also received it before the computer. Now, the brain-mind is designed to interpret the frequencies that come into it. That's where it puts it in language or images for us. But the frequencies don't all originate here. The brain-mind is an antenna too. But the heart is a coupling antenna, dimensional. That's why you have the lower heart and the higher heart. You've got the heart that's heartache, heartbreak, which hurts, which just pulls us into the lower centers. And you've got the heart that pulls us into the higher. We have a choice. This is a planet of free will. It's a choice to manage our emotions. It's a choice to love. And it's a choice to go to the next level of human consciousness that's unfolding right now, which is intuitive, which is a more intuitive access to new frequencies coming in. Emotional self-regulation, though, is the missing link. And most people don't want to hear that. They don't. They want to keep meditating and following some glamour of idealism, and you've heard that before. The key, our access code, is emotional self-management. Meaning, those little tiny irritations, frustrations, impatience, angers, and judgments and stuff that come up that we kind of ignore, push under the carpet because we're too busy with our work, they all count. And they count more now than ever. We all know too much. We've been doing this too long. It's not that hard. We all can do it. And that's been what our goal has been trying to do, is teach emotional self-regulation tools to everyone from preschool on up. Because we know those are the Trojan horse. That's the access. That is what is going to bring people into their true who they are, their higher self. And, I want to read something to you here, because someone sent this to me after we'd published our second research paper. I had no idea. Maybe some of you know this. But this is from the book Heart, published by the Agni Yoga Society, and was released in 1932. And the book contains the teachings of El Morya, dictated through Helena Rarick. Verily, it will soon be necessary to save ourselves from the chaos of the elements. But even this disaster can be considerably mitigated by the education of the heart. We ask the physicians of various lands to concern themselves with the study of the heart. There are many sanitariums for all kinds of illnesses, but there is no institute of the heart. This is due to a lack of education of the heart. For even ignoramuses do not give second place to the heart. Yet heart ailments outnumber cancer and tuberculosis. The Institute of the Heart will be the temple of the future race. The Institute of the Heart will enter into the society of culture, because the heart is inseparable from culture. So we just hope we're one Institute of the Heart, but it really is, the Institute is in each one of our hearts. That's really where it is. And as we really understand what this science means, it powers up and accelerates our spiritual growth. And right now, there is a new dispensation coming into the planet. I know we feel it, we've heard about it, some people talk about it. But I want to also share with you a little bit more about what we're trying to do to help people access these new frequencies, because they're a huge gift. More love is coming into the planet, and managing emotions through the power and intelligence of the heart accesses higher frequency intuition. There is more facilitation from universal source, creating a spiritual stir in the air. Increased inner monitoring of thoughts and emotions, and really following the heart more, brings in the new reality. Activating your heart intelligence will help simplify spirituality, so more people can access their higher self and become who they truly are. This momentum of heart activation is coming direct from universal source and will be more obvious even before the end of this year. The first wave of people, and you all are part of this first wave, who connect more with their spirit and intuition through the heart, will anchor in the new frequencies and help make it easier for others. But it all has to get more simple. Simple practices of emotional self-regulation to access practical intuition that's applied to our day-to-day, moment-to-moment choices. When we judge, when we are irritated, when we're impatient, when we're frustrated, and shifting out of that into forgiveness, compassion, patience, kindness, is the qualification. That's the new frontier. It's simple, and it's been said for eons, and Christ said the same thing, and all the great, but now is the time, and we can do it, and we can activate and access. Science is showing the power of the heart and simple tools and biofeedback to really accelerate that process.
Marvelous. Thank you so much,
You're
Debbie.
very welcome. Thank you.